My life has always resembled a fairy tale, the story of a clever and ambitious boy who managed to achieve all of his dreams. I had a beautiful wife, a fulfilling job, and my best friend Sergey as my partner. From the outside, everything seemed perfect, but appearances can be deceiving. Let me tell you the story of how two misdirected voice messages destroyed my family and turned our seemingly perfect life into a web of lies. There was a time when I used to laugh at jokes about accidental messages sent to the wrong person, like the infamous bunny text mistakenly sent to the boss. Sergey and I first met at university. He was a typical troublemaker, and I was the typical bookish nerd. We had nothing in common initially, but fate brought us together. With his business savvy and my intelligence, we embarked on a joint venture that his father generously funded. Our business thrived, and during this time, I met my wife, a woman who saw past my humble beginnings and embraced the future we could build together. Sergey, being the loyal friend he was, stood beside me as the best man at our wedding. If someone had asked me then who I trusted more, the answer would have been unequivocal: both of them. Life as a family quickly fell into a monotonous routine, a constant cycle of work and home, but occasional short business trips helped break the monotony. Although I never doubted my partner's fidelity during my absence, the existence of video calls couldn't be ignored either. This idyllic period came to an end in the summer, during the month of August. I had been away for a couple of days, and upon returning to the hotel in the evening after completing the initial round of negotiations, I had a brief conversation with my wife. She informed me that she was expecting a female friend to visit and wished me a good night. Already half asleep, I was startled by the sound of my phone receiving a message. I reached over to the nightstand and picked it up, noticing that the clock read 2:00 a.m. It was a message from my wife. Now fully awake, I wondered what could have happened at this late hour. We had spoken the previous night, and everything seemed fine. The voicemail played, and in her drunken state, my wife sang to me, expressing her longing for my return. A smile tugged at my lips as I regarded her intoxicated and affectionate message. In fact, I even considered stopping by a local jewelry store the next day. I quickly texted her, assuring her that I would be back within a day, and wished her a good night before placing the phone back on the nightstand. 1 minute later, it flashed again. "No, my husband will be back in a day, and we won't be able to discuss what happened." The voicemail abruptly ended. As I slowly grasped the implications of what was transpiring, another voicemail came through. "Well, or shall we do it again?" I replayed the message twice, struggling to control my anger before finally responding. My fingers tapped forcefully on the phone screen. I needed to divert my wife's attention and urgently contact Sergey, urging him to rush to my house and uncover the identity of her newfound desire. I sent the message, "Call me in a couple minutes," and hastily dialed my friend. Surprisingly, Seryoga was awake. "Seryoga, my friend, I need your immediate help. Come to me." I didn't have time to explain. The sooner he arrived, the better our chances of catching the couple at the scene of the crime. "What's wrong?" "Please come quickly. I'll explain everything later. Today, I brought some wine for your wife. She and her friend are having a girls' night out. They've probably run out of wine by now," my friend awkwardly confessed. "How long have you been away?" The situation took an unexpected turn. "About 2 hours ago. I brought them wine, checked that everything was fine, and left." "Oh," Seryoga exclaimed on the other end of the phone. "Your wife is calling now. Are they still there sitting?" Sergey burst into laughter, causing me to feel an overwhelming sense of despair. My legs gave way beneath me, and I collapsed onto the bed, losing consciousness. I regained my senses and pressed the call reset button, but I found myself unable to divert my gaze from the incessantly vibrating phone. Without hesitation, I abandoned everything and hastily boarded the nearest airplane, arriving back home in the early morning hours. Upon seeing me, my wife burst into tears, vehemently denying any wrongdoing. Strangely enough, she had even erased our entire conversation from her messages. I couldn't tell if this was out of panic or to later prove that I was losing my mind. I engaged in a lengthy conversation with the so-called friend, who eventually admitted that something had happened between them recently while I was away. It all unraveled at a mutual acquaintance's birthday party, where my intoxicated fiancé had not so subtly suggested continuing the celebrations at our home. Thus, what innocently began as a proposition to invite our friend's wife to our house had transformed into an act of betrayal. After hearing his explanation, I immediately declared my intention to sell my share in the business. It was an unprecedented display of resolve on my part. Sergei had to pay me 30% more than the asking price to prevent my shares from falling into the wrong hands. The divorce was swiftly and efficiently finalized. The prenuptial agreement ensured that my ex-wife kept her premarital possessions. In the end, it amounted to very little. Since we had no children, we left the courthouse that day as strangers to each other. I got into my car and sped away, leaving her behind, staring at me with a detached expression. I couldn't fathom what she was thinking. Perhaps she was rueing the demise of her previous marriage or already dreaming of a new life. Regardless, her drunken indiscretion had cost her everything, just as it had cost me.